Long ago, in the village of Kwaku, a stranger arrived under the light of a full moon. He was a mysterious figure, dressed in tattered clothes, with eyes that seemed to hold secrets of distant lands. He came seeking shelter and rest, his journey having been long and weary. The people of Kwaku were suspicious of strangers, for they valued the safety of their village above all else. Rumors spread quickly, then whispers filled the air as the villagers eyed the newcomer with distrust. The stranger kept to himself, speaking little, his presence quiet yet noticeable. He stayed near the outskirts of the village, resting beneath the ancient baobab tree. Some villagers claimed they saw him wandering at night, his eyes searching for something unknown. Fear began to grow among the people, and soon the whispers turned into accusations. One night, a prized goat belonging to the village chief went missing. The people were quick to place the blame on the stranger, convinced that he was the culprit. They gathered in the square, their voices rising in anger, demanding justice. The village chief, Nana Kwame, listened to the cries of his people, his heart heavy but his resolve firm. He feared losing the trust of his people, and so he made a decision that would change the fate of the village forever. The stranger was dragged before the elders, his pleas for innocence falling on deaf ears. The villagers surrounded him, their faces filled with fear and hatred. Nana Kwame stood tall, his voice echoing through the square as he declared the stranger guilty. Without a fair trial, without proof, the stranger was condemned. His eyes, once filled with mystery, now held only sorrow as he looked at the people who had turned against him. The villagers led him to the edge of the forest, where the shadows of the trees seemed to stretch endlessly. There, beneath the pale glow of the moon, they ended his life, casting his body into the dense forest beyond. The air was thick with silence as the villagers turned away, their anger subsiding, replaced by an unease that none dared to speak of. That night, the moon shone brightly over Kwaku, but it was the last time the villagers would ever see its light. The following night, the sky was empty, the moon hidden from view. The darkness that fell over Kwaku was unlike any they had known before, deep, impenetrable, and filled with an eerie stillness. The villagers whispered among themselves, their fear growing as the nights passed, each one darker than the last. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. The moon never returned, and with each passing night, the darkness seemed to grow heavier. The villagers began to notice something else, those who dared to venture out after sunset never returned. It was as if the shadows themselves had come alive, swallowing anyone who defied the darkness. The people of Kwaku learned quickly, when the sun set, you locked your doors, you stayed inside, and you prayed for the dawn. Nana Kwame, the village chief, was haunted by what he had done. He had ordered the death of an innocent man, and now it seemed that the village was paying the price. He called on priests, medicine men, and even travelers from distant lands who claimed to have powers beyond understanding, but nothing worked. The moon remained hidden, and the nights remained deadly. The guilt gnawed at him day after day, but he kept the truth hidden from his people, fearing their wrath. 20 years passed, and the village of Kwaku had grown accustomed to the darkness. The people no longer spoke of the stranger, but the fear remained, passed down to the children who had never seen the moon. The elders still remembered, though, and the weight of their guilt was a burden they carried in silence. And now, as the 20th year of darkness began, the king's daughter, Adoma, started to experience something strange. At first, it was just a feeling, the sense that something was watching her, something unseen in the dark. Then came the dreams, a soft, haunting melody that seemed to call her name. She would wake in the dead of night, her heart pounding, the melody echoing in her ears. She tried to ignore it, dismissing it as a figment of her imagination, but the whispers grew louder, more insistent, until she could no longer pretend they weren't real. One night, as the darkness settled over Kwaku like a thick blanket, Adoma sat by her window, staring out into the pitch-black night. The whispers had returned, the melody weaving through her mind, calling her, urging her to follow. She closed her eyes, trying to block it out, but it was no use. The voice was there, clear and unmistakable, and it spoke her name, Adoma, come. Adoma shivered, her heart racing. She had heard the stories all her life, how the darkness would swallow anyone who stepped outside after nightfall. But there was something in the voice, something that felt different. It wasn't threatening, or it was pleading, almost sad. Adoma knew she shouldn't, but the pull was too strong. She had to know what it wanted. And so, the stage was set for Adoma's journey, a journey that would take her into the heart of the darkness, where the truth of what had been done and the price that must be paid awaited her.